Let us now create a dashboard. We have created several visualizations. We have done univariate analysis. We have completed bivariate analysis. Let us go to multivariate analysis. Multivariate, multiple variables you want to study and their impact on the target. What is our target? Whether the customer will be a risky customer or not. So you can use this plus sign here. This is adding a sheet. If you look at this new dashboard, click on the dashboard. Once you click on the dashboard, all the sheets that are there in this workbook, you can see them here on the left hand side. So you can add the sheets that you want to include in the dashboard. You can drag and drop here, okay? Or you can double click on these sheets, they will be getting added. So the first important sheet that we want to add is the target. This is the target percentage of good, percentage of bad customers. If you want to now go back and change this plot if to a different one, once you make the changes here, automatically they will be appearing on the other side. Let's say if I want to put it as a label, 6% are bad customers, 93%, 93.3% are good customers. Automatically, when I go to that dashboard, in this dashboard, this will be getting changed. So once we have added the target, and the next one that we want to add is all the important bivariate analysis. Let's say late payments versus target. That's what I want to include in this. Double click on that. Late payments versus target, that is also included. Monthly utilization versus target. All the bivariate analysis, monthly utilization versus target. This is histogram. I'm not interested in histogram. I'm actually interested in box plot. Let us see which one is that. It's better to name them. So this is card utilization. So let's rename this as utilization versus target 1. So this is the one that we want to include in the dashboard. This is not the one that we want to include. So automatically this layout is getting adjusted. So this is the one that I would like to have it in my dashboard. And I would like to also have one more column in this one. Util versus target. Include that. If you click on it, it will take you to that sheet. But here I want to include it simply. And then the last one. Right now, the formatting is not that good. We are going to look into that. But first, let's include all the sheets that are important. And the number of loans. Okay. Loans. Let's go to that sheet. Let us rename it as loans. By mistake, I have written as lonas. So rename that as loans. And then go back to our dashboard and include the number of loans. So these are the ones that I want to have finally on my dashboard. Now the formatting is not that good because the size of the dashboard is considered as very, very minimal. So here it is considering it as minimal. So you can change the size of the dashboard. You can change the layout if you want to. Right now, what I suggest is instead of changing these, there is an option for automatic. Instead of changing this, let us take the size as some automatic size. Okay, let us choose that size. Is that size? Go here, and here it is range. You can change the range values. Otherwise, you can choose fixed size, or I would generally use automatic depending on the size of your pane or depending on the size of the screen. This will be automatically getting adjusted. Over and beyond this, if you want to make any changes, you can perform those changes as well. Let's say if you want this to be smaller or this to be bigger, you can always do that. Okay, so what I would like to have is, this is a slightly larger table, so I would like to have this one somewhere here itself. Now it just swapped. Let's do one thing. I'm just trying to adjust this. Let's insert one horizontal object. Yeah, this one. This is one object that I have inserted. Look at this horizontal. I just dragged and dropped it here, and then put this loans, not this one. Hold these loans here and then put it here. Let me show that once again. How do you do that? Go back, go back. Now I'm holding this horizontal or vertical. This is horizontal, this is vertical. Just keep it here. And then this bar that you see on top of it, hold it and keep it there. Now this is automatically getting adjusted. What I would like to do is I would like this to be somewhere here. Oopsie. This one needs to be adjusted again. So let's do this. Let's drag this until here and then insert one more. Right now this space is too much. So what I'll do is I'll add one more vertical one. Okay. Right at the end. That's not allowing it. Okay. I have added one vertical one. And then what I'll try to do is I'll try to adjust this, drag this below. Looks like this is automatically adjusting everything. What I'm trying to do is this table that I'm trying to make it look bigger so that we can view all the values. So the way these graphs are arranged, they are known as tiled or floating. Tiled means automatically it will keep on adjusting. So what we can do is if you use this option, let's say if I delete this, okay, then it is coming here. So what I can do is I can make it as floating. Floating means it doesn't need to fit this. It will just hang here like that. I just made it as floating so that I can keep it anywhere. But there's a problem. This table is now looking good, but this floating is not looking that good. Okay. Now what I'll do is I will add one more element, horizontal element somewhere here. Okay. Now what I'll do is I'll bring that particular one which I made as floating. I keep it in this particular box and then try to make it tiled now. Floating, I'm removing it. So it has to fit in this one. Okay. Now even this also, if I'm not satisfied, if I want to bring this up, then what I'll do is I'll again make it as floating. Okay. Now this is somewhere here. Then there's one element here, just remove it. So what I want is this one to be just beside that pie chart. Okay. So I'm just removing this and then I'll bring one more horizontal, keep it here. This time what I'll do is I'll take this, put it in this box and then try to make it as non-floating. This is not a floating one. So this is the final graph that I want. I want this table to look bigger because number of late payments is a very big impacting factor. Number of loans also an impacting factor on the target. And then utilization. Monthly utilization is also another impactful factor. Now what we will try to do is we will do a little bit of formatting. Let us call this as target. What is target? Either you can keep the sheet name or you can say a risk percentage or this is the risk percentage. I want to make it middle aligned, bold, and then let's choose the color to be this one, bold, apply. Let's make it as 12 so that it is in 1 or 11. Is that fine? 11 or 12. Apply. Risk percentage, middle aligned. Okay. And then this is number of loans. I think loans should be fine. And then bold and then this one apply. And it has to be 12, I guess. 12. Okay. This is number of late payments. You can also do it along with me, keeping it as it is, the sheet name with 12. Okay. And then apply. Okay. Bold 12 and then apply. You can choose any other color also. This is monthly utilization. I would like to change the name. Monthly utilization of the credit limit. That long a name we cannot give. Let us give this name and then keep it as 12, make it bold, apply. Okay. So these are the ones. Bold. That should be fine. And 12. For some reason, that is looking bigger than the others. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Monthly utilization, number of late payments, and so on. If you want to add, you can also add a title which says credit risk analysis, something like that. Okay. Let us add some text right at the top. Credit risk analysis. Make it as 15, bold, middle aligned, and then let's give it a different font altogether. This one, and then it has to be in which color? Let's keep it as orange color. Okay. Oh my God. Yep. Here you go. Credit risk analysis, and these are some of the filters, etc. Okay. Now what I want to do is, usually when we are using a dashboard, in the dashboard, we want to do multivariate analysis. What is multivariate analysis? In multiple scenarios, overall risk percentage, overall there are 6% of the customers, 6.68% of the customers who are turning out to be bad customers. Now, is there any customer segment that is very, very highly risky than the one that we see here? Maybe if the number of loans are high, that can be considered as very high risky customer segment. If the number of late payments are high, that is high risky customer segment. So let us find those customer segments where the risk is very, very high. So what we can do is, we can use an option called apply it as filter. We can use this as filter. Okay. So the late payments count in the last 2 years. If I select anything here, automatically everything else should be getting selected. Okay. What if I want to use a selection here? Here, the percentage of good customers, percentage of bad customers is very high here. Percentage of good is 73%, percentage of bad is 26%. But here overall is still showing as 6%. How do I use any selection here as a filter? So what I can do is, I can use this option, use as filter. Okay. Here is the use as filter option. Where is it? Use as filter. Now, when you use this as a filter, what will happen is, if I make any selection here, let's say 2 loans, number of late payments are 2. Automatically, 26% is the percentage of bad customers. So you can use a particular table or a particular graph as a filter. Automatically, rest all will be adjusted. Can you see that? Or if I hold control and try to say 2 and 3, the customers who have paid twice late, thrice late, or 4 times late, or 5 times late, in last 1 year, there is a customer, out of 24 bills he got generated, 5 bills he paid late. That means he's a very, very risky customer. These risky customers, you can see almost 1 out of 3 are turning out to be risk. These are all very highly, highly risky customers. This is a very good high risk scenario. You can come up with even higher risk scenarios, even lower risk scenarios as well, because 7 times not paying on time, you may not find those many customers. That is one of the scenario which is high risk. You can also use number of loans as a filter. Okay, use as filter. So if you come out of this and then try to use number of loans, I would like to say anybody who's having more than, let's say, 10 loans, or this is the range. If this is the number of loans range, what is their risk percentage? Overall risk percentage is 6%. It is processing our request, it has to put everything as filter. When the number of loans are these many, risk percentage is reducing. That means having too many loans may not be a problem, especially in this portfolio. Usually it is a problem. Looks like maybe people have already paid back, or they are paying duly. That may be the reason. So the number of loans, if you want to check out what is the impact of number of loans on this one, Again, from 6%, it is going to somewhere around that only. Okay, 6% only. The number of late payments is something that is coming out to be very, very impactful. Or you can use monthly utilization also as a filter, but I'm not trying it. So if you use this use as filter option, whatever you select here, automatically everything else will be getting highlighted. Okay. So let us see some very low risk scenario. So this is the high risk scenario. Okay. Let us see the low risk scenario. Or maybe if you want to include some other variable as well. One of them was debt ratio indicator. What if I want to see whether there is a higher debt ratio? Does that impact my final output or not? Higher debt ratio, higher number of loans, higher monthly utilization, does it impact or not? Include that debt ratio as well. Double click on that debt ratio indicator. Let's go to this sheet. Let me rename it as debt ratio indicator. Rename that. I think it was auto correction. That was debt ratio indicator. Then come here, debt ratio indicator is here. It's coming out to be here. If you do not want it, that's fine. But if the debt ratio indicator, if debt ratio is high debt ratio means they're paying back a lot of money, then what is the impact? If I'm using this as a filter, use as a filter, if debt ratio indicator is high, is there a higher amount? It is not having any impact. I'll just remove this debt ratio indicator. Rest of the whole dashboard looks good. So let me go use Control Z to go back to the previous scenario. This is the dashboard that we have. Let us see very low risk scenario. When do you say it is very, very low risk? If somebody is duly paying, when they are paying on time, then only 4%. That means out of 6%, overall it is even lesser than 6%. It is only 4%. Even if the debt ratio is lesser, or monthly utilization is lesser, or if the number of loans are also less. Let us see if the monthly credit card utilization, if that is less, okay, number of late payments is 1, then there is only 4% of the people who are turning out to be bad. Let me include debt ratio and try to do the analysis around that. So what I'm trying to do is debt ratio is low, use that as filter, and number of late payments are also 0. So they are every time they are paying on time, as well as their debt ratio is low. Okay. Let us see. Let's use this as filter when the debt ratio is low, as well as number of late payments are also 0. These are the two filters that we are using. 4% is coming out to be the overall this one. Okay. 4%, 4.07. Let us see all the filters. Let us make sure that everything is applied carefully or not. If you want to check out all the filters, like what filters need to be applied to which worksheet, there's a way to check that. So here are all the filters. If you go to dashboard, if you go to all the actions that are happening, these are the actions or the filters. Filter 1, filter 2, filter 3. Filter 1 is around late payments, which is on this table. Filter 2 is around loans. Filter 3 is around debt ratio indicator. So when the debt ratio indicator is taking the value low, and then if this is also 0, then what is the overall percentage of bad? Let's say if the number of loans are also low, okay. Let's say existing loans count is 0. Let us suppose existing loan count is 0. I'm selecting existing loan count as 0, and then looks like there are very few records, so ignore that. Or if the number of existing loans, if we are selecting, I'm trying to select a group of customers from here. Lesser number of existing loans, number of late payments are 0, number of, depth ratio is also low. In that case, what is the percentage of customers who are turning out to be good, who are turning out to be bad? So like that, we have to come up with high risk and low risk scenarios and try to show us our client that if this happens, like if you want to simply ignore all the filters, you can just simply refresh this. You just need to double click on that. Okay. You just need to double click on it so that everything will get refreshed automatically. You come here and then whatever you have selected, it will take some time to load it. You just need to come to a blank space on that sheet. Simply double click on it. Or there's another perfect way of doing it. You can go to that sheet. There are some filters that are action generated filters. Simply delete those filters. These are the action generated filters. Simply delete them. If you come here, it's here. Then again, you go to that sheet. These are the filters that are generated by actions. You just delete them, delete them. Okay. Come here and then go here. Go to that sheet. These are the filters generated by some actions. Even if you come back to this sheet, worksheet, and if you go here, add a filter, that will appear here. Let's say late payments count. If you want to take a particular value, that is also possible. Debt ratio indicator, if you want to take a particular value, these filters are also shown. The filters that are from these sheets, they are also shown. This is just a very basic example of how a dashboard works. In fact, we are going to see multiple more examples. In fact, by trying different ranges, you can even find out even lesser risky scenario as well. Maybe 1% risk or even less than that is also possible if you keep the monthly utilization to be very low. Okay. Let's say monthly card utilization, if I'm keeping it anywhere between 0 to 0.1, in that case, even less risk is also possible. Let us see what will happen. The risk percentage is coming out to be 5.02%, even less than that if you want to reduce it. Okay. Debt ratio is low, number of late payments are 0, and then let's say monthly utilization is, I'm just trying it out, like 0.05, 5% monthly utilization or lesser. It's almost like 0. Like 5% is the overall risk. So that is the example dashboard. Obviously, the analysis can be, this whole data can be further and further analyzed. We are stopping the analysis here. You got a feel of this dashboard. Later on, we are going to create many more dashboards. We are going to discuss about many more actions and several other details that can be done on this dashboard and the formatting, etc. As usual, we have to go to File and save this to Tableau Public. It'll ask you to give a name. We will give a name. If you're giving the same name, it will simply overwrite it. Okay. It is asking me to sign in. What I'll do is I'll sign in and save it. You also save it. Then we will move on to the next session. Okay. I'll see you on the other side.